Hey everybody, Curlychronicles here, and I am back. It's taken me a little bit of time. I'm so sorry. There's been a delay. In me posting. I have a very healthy relationship with social media. I do not feel the need to record or to go and like things and spend hours on Instagram or YouTube even. Although YouTube is different. YouTube is a university. I am always learning. That is my preferred social media app, I guess, to use. But I am not concerned with getting that shot and capturing all these things. And so sometimes I am just living life to the fullest. So sometimes it dawns on me and I'm like, it's been a while. Sorry. So I am here, and today we are going to be talking about making your own sourdough starter. I've done a little bit of research over many months, and it's a little intimidating for people to venture out into the world of sourdough making and sourdough starter creating, because it can just be a little tedious depending on whose video you watch. I'm gonna keep it super simple and super easy for you. I have done a lot of research on like different recipes to make your own sourdough starter, and the easiest recipe that I was able to find was this one that you will find the link for below. It's by Tasty, and it's just going to be the simplest one. I don't think it gets any simpler than this. So for those of you who are a little intimidated by the process, this one should be really easy for you to follow along with, and I think that you can do it. I believe in you. So let's first talk about what a sourdough starter is. Then we'll talk about what you're going to need for your ingredients and what tools you're going to need in order to get going and make your own, so you can get to, you know, being a fine Michelin star future bread maker, because that's where you're going. To the moon. You're going far. You're going to be a fantastic baker. What is a sourdough starter? It is considered your leavening agent. So oftentimes you'll see people use baking powder and baking soda. Those are also leavening agents. They create a little bit of puffiness. They kind of make the bread rise. So if you would like to make your own, and that is great, because if you remember not too long ago, there were many supermarkets where you could not find yeast during the beginning of the demic. I'll call it the demic. And if you needed to bake something, you were just kind of like, what's going on? I mean, I went to 4 or 5 different supermarkets and it was gone. So if you have your own leavening agent, then you're just in a better position. And that's just it. I mean, and it tastes better too. Come on, everyone loves a nice, fresh, warm slice of sourdough bread. If you make it yourself, it is going to taste better. That's just the way it goes. That's just the rule. It tastes better when you do it yourself and you make it from scratch. So it's a wonderful skill to be able to just know how to make your own, and then to just make your fresh loaf of bread. I think everyone should know how to do it. So sourdough, when you combine flour and water, you create this small colony of microbes. This is a great bacteria, and yeast is everywhere. It's on the wheat, it's on our hands, it's on the surface of everything. But you don't have enough typically when you mix flour and water together by itself. So you have to kind of grow that colony, if you will. So when you combine the flour and the water and you feed it over the course of a couple of days, and then you feed it indefinitely for as long as you maintain the sourdough starter, you are creating this leavening agent that is going to help you bake your bread and really give it that nice oven spring. You get all those nice airy pockets. So that is the purpose of it. And in order to make it, you're going to need flour, in this case 2 types of flour, and you're going to need some non-chlorinated water. So no tap water. You're going to use either like Brita filtered water, or you can use bottled water, distilled or spring, doesn't matter. So the types of flour that you're going to need. You're going to need all-purpose flour and unbleached. Both of the flours we're going to use are unbleached. And you'll notice that this has 11.7% protein. So that is important, because in order to kind of create a nice loaf of bread, you're going to need gluten. That gluten just helps. It helps with the structure. I'm not going to get into the science. Let me just step away from the science part of it. I don't know that much. I'm not saying I'm I know everything. I'm just saying I know a little bit. But let's just talk about the ingredients. Next, you're going to need bread flour, any brand, but this is also non-bleached or unbleached. Yeah, unbleached flour. And you're going to need this as well. I didn't use this when I first made my sourdough starter. I only had the all-purpose flour. And I think that's why it took me like 2.5, 3 weeks. This should only take you a week, maybe a little bit more than a week if you're in a colder climate. But if you're in a warmer climate, or your part of your house, like your kitchen, if it's just a warm space, warmer than other areas, then it should take you about a week or so, maybe a week and a half, just to be on the safe side. So you'll need bread flour as well. And you'll, of course, again, you'll have your water. So you're gonna take 50 grams of your all-purpose flour and 50 grams of your bread flour, put that in a container, and perfect segue towards the tools that we're gonna be using. A container like this is a 4-cup, 950 milliliter vessel, glass Pyrex container with the lid. It's just easy to kind of, first of all, it's easy to take the lid off and on. You don't want to fuss and fight with your lid. It's really annoying. This is for long-term storage for my sourdough starter in the refrigerator. We'll get back to this. This is Dough Daddy, just so you all know. This is Dough Daddy. We're going to talk about names at the end. But when you're making it, you want something where you can easily take the lid off. You can use cheesecloth and like a rubber band over it if you want to, or you can just put this on. It's not a big deal. You're going to see in the video below by Tasty, that she uses something similar to this. So you're going to need to be able to see the rising and falling of your sourdough starter. And the easiest way to kind of tell where it starts is to put a piece of tape on the container here. Sorry, I'm like looking in the screen to make sure I'm not like off screen. So this is going to help too. You're going to want some tape, just something you can kind of easily see. You're going to need your kitchen scale because we are going to be using grams to measure out the flour and the water. So that's pretty much what you need. The last item that you'll need is just, like a spatula or a spoon. I use a chopstick to stir my sourdough starter. It's just easy to stir in this container, and it's easy to kind of get it off. You can kind of scrape it off. So it's just super easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your sourdough starter by combining 50 grams of bread flour and 50 grams of the all-purpose flour with 100 grams of water. So you have a 1-to-1 ratio. You have 100 grams of water and 100 grams of the two different types, 50 grams each of the flours. So you're going to leave it for about a day, and then you're looking for like gaseous activity. It's going to start to get a little bubbly. Mine, you can kind of see, so you can kind of see a little, in there. You can kind of see, my hands are so dry. This is my first winter here, and my skin is just, it's very dry. I'm trying my best to stay nice and moisturized. But man, 22 degrees tonight. It's going to be interesting. Anywho, you're looking for that type of activity. And you may see it after the first day, or you may see it after the second day. If you see it after the second day, that's cool. It's just taking it a little bit longer to kind of get going. And what is happening is the yeast, the good colony of microbes that's present in that container of flour and water, is going to start eating what you add to it, and then it's going to grow. You're going to grow your colony. It's like a colony. Consider it an army of bacteria. Only this army, they don't go around killing folks. They go around uplifting the community. In this case, the community is the dough. It's the bread. It's going to make that bread rise. You see, positivity here, very positive. So over the course of a week, you will be removing a good amount of what you have in your container, and then you'll be feeding it with additional flour and water. And so what that does is that puts more food into that remaining colony, and then they just gobble it up, and then they build more gaseous bubbles by eating. And I don't know, I'm assuming that the good bacteria is eating and farting out. I know it sounds disgusting, but farting out the gases that make your bread rise. You know what? I don't make the rules here. I'm just someone who likes to bake. So, so that is the process. definitely watch the whole video below. It's super easy. And what I'm going to do is I am going to create a couple of community posts where I show you my progress, because if you saw in my one of my previous videos, I can't remember if it was previous, I forget which one, but I said it. I want to make a rye sourdough starter. And you saw my 7-pound bag of rye flour is like humongous. So we are going to, that's what we're going to be working on. Now, I'll show you progress, maybe day 1 or 2, day 1, maybe day 3 after there's some activity, maybe day 5 or 6, and then like the end of the process. You'll notice in the video that there's a float test at the end of the process of creating your sourdough starter. You may not notice a good float test all of the time. It depends. Sometimes it will float, sometimes it may not float. That's okay. Don't worry about it too much. If it doesn't, just keep feeding it. And, you know, if you're baking a lot, then you're gonna want to feed your sourdough starter on a more regular basis. I wanted to make a note that you don't have to feed it every week. If you're leaving it in the refrigerator, it's not a big deal. It will create some liquid on top the longer you leave it without eating, and which they call hooch, and you'll notice it looks like a grayish color. It's fine, it's not dead, it's not bad. If you see black mold spots on it, or green mold or orangey mold, you may want to throw that away. I don't think you should continue. Do not pass go. But the little liquid of gray hooch on top is totally fine. Some people throw it out. I mix it back in because it creates more of that sourdough kind of flavor and taste and smell. So I don't throw it out. My bread is just fine. It's not a big deal. You can totally drain it off if you feel most comfortable though. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's pretty simple. A lot of other recipes have different ratios, 1-to-5 ratio, and it's just a lot for someone who's new to this. I was like, hey, look, if you want followers, this is not the way to go. They are not going to want to do all of that and do 10 grams of this and 20 grams of that, 5 grams of that. They don't want to do all that. They want to keep it simple. Keep it simple. So this is simple. This is simple. Now, you all met Dough Daddy. Dough Daddy, ooh, I got a FedEx package. Yeah, I wonder what it is. This is Dough Daddy. You have to name your starter. I don't make the rules. Again, I'm just someone who likes to bake, but you got to name it. You got to name it. And it's customary, at least in my opinion, to name your sourdough starter something that has the word dough in it. So you have to incorporate the dough. So this is Dough Daddy, but if you want to be a little bit more fun and creative with it and clever, that's the best. I am going to be making a sourdough starter that is based with rye, and I have decided that her name will be Josephine Baker. It is a genius name. I know. I can't even believe that I thought of it. I'm amazing. But she is named after the ever so lovely Josephine Baker. Absolutely love her. And so I was like, that is the name of my next one. That's it. So don't try and steal it, because that's mine. But you have to name it something cool. So for example, I've seen someone who named theirs Angelina Jolie. You know, I can't think of, there's a bunch of good ones. But if there's the sound dough in it, you know, you can do it. You can name it that. So I really hope you give it a try. It's not too hard. Some of the other recipes that I've seen are just they make people a little like, okay, I don't know if I really want to do this, and then I have to do that every day. No, I don't want to. This is the simplest I found, again. So try it out, and watch out for my community posts where I show you my progress with my rye sourdough starter. I am going to start that today, and I will be doing some updates here and there. And then in the next video that I do on bread, we'll be baking a loaf of sourdough. Well, actually, I'll wait. The next bread video that I do is going to be on beer bread, because beer bread is super easy. It's the easiest type of bread you could ever make, and it does not call for hours and hours and hours worth of waiting and activity, and then waiting and activity, which is kind of the sourdough process. It's not terrible. I have a very easy recipe for sourdough bread, but it is still a process. So we're going to talk about beer bread next. And I'm going to share a really fun recipe that's very simple. Again, got to keep it simple. People got a lot going on in their lives right now. So you don't want to have people need to do all this extra stuff. You want to keep it simple. So that is what we're going to be doing next. And I'm also going to be doing some more videos about emergency preparedness, because you know what? I had an emergency recently and I was so glad that I was prepared for it, because it could have been a little annoying. Depending on how long it took to fix, it could have been annoying. So we're gonna talk about that too. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you give it a try. And I would love to see you well on your way to becoming your own bona fide home sourdough baker. So try it out and let me know how it goes for you. And till next time, enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to y'all soon.